Okay, so let's jump right into it. Today we're going to try and unpack one of the most mysterious and, let's be honest, pretty intense visions in the entire Bible. We're talking about the wounded beast of Revelation. We're going to focus right in on just two verses, chapter 13, verses 3 and 4, to break down this incredible story of power, imitation, and a world that's left just completely stunned.
So this is where it all kicks off, with this incredibly dramatic image. You've got this beast, and one of its heads takes what looks like a totally fatal blow. Wounded to death. Game over, right? But then, it's healed. And this isn't just some small recovery. No, this is a comeback so impossible that it leaves the entire world in absolute awe.
So right away, you can see this brings up some massive questions, doesn't it? This impossible comeback is really the heart of the drama here. We're looking at a power, an empire, that seems to completely defy the natural order, to basically cheat death itself. And that is the central puzzle we're going to try and solve today. A wound that should have been fatal just heals. A world so amazed by this that it can't look away. So what is this vision really trying to tell us? Well, to figure it out, we've got to treat it like a detective story and look for the clues hidden in the text.
First things first, if we're going to understand what this healing is all about, we have to figure out who or what got wounded in the first place. So it's time to unmask this beast by decoding the apocalyptic symbols.
Now you have to remember, in this kind of prophetic writing, beasts aren't usually literal monsters with claws and teeth. They are powerful symbols. And a very common historical interpretation identifies this beast with a massive world power, the Roman Empire. The text says it rises up out of the sea, which often symbolizes the chaotic, churning sea of nations. So we're not talking about some mythological creature, we're talking about a very real, very formidable human empire.
Okay, so if the beast is Rome, then what on earth was this deadly wound? This is where things get really fascinating, because according to this view, it was a blow that wasn't struck by swords or armies, but by faith. So the key idea here is that the wound wasn't physical at all. It wasn't a military defeat. It wasn't a political assassination. Instead, it was a spiritual and ideological blow. I mean, think about it. Christianity shows up and introduces a king of kings who isn't Caesar. It creates a community whose ultimate loyalty isn't to the Roman state. This was a direct, head-on challenge to Rome's entire power structure, which was literally built on the idea of emperor worship.
So if the rise of Christianity was the wound, then what was the healing? Well, according to this interpretation, it was Rome's shocking resurgence. When the world, for the most part, rejected Christ's message and the empire started persecuting the church, Rome's old authority came roaring back. The beast got back on its feet, rising with new vigor. It was this incredible comeback that seemed to prove its power was absolute and undeniable.
And this apparent invincibility didn't just make people afraid. It actually inspired a kind of deep awe. It made the world want to follow it, to pledge its allegiance. And this sense of wonder spills right over into the very next verse, where that amazement transforms into something much, much more intense. Full-blown worship.
And you've got to notice something really crucial here in verse 4. It's not just one thing being worshipped, there are two. You get this kind of chain of worship. First, the dragon, who the text identifies as Satan, is worshipped as the power source, the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. But the more obvious, public adoration is aimed right at the beast, the Roman Empire, for its raw, visible, undeniable strength.
All right, and this is where the passage gets really, really clever. The very words the world uses to worship this beast have a hidden meaning, and it's a profoundly important one. It's all wrapped up in a simple but totally twisted bit of praise.
This is the cry of the world. Who is like unto the beast? And of course, it's a rhetorical question. The implied answer is nobody. No one is this powerful. No one can possibly stand against this empire. It's a declaration of ultimate earthly power. But there's another layer here.
And this right here just brilliantly illustrates the heart of the whole conflict. That question, who is like the beast, is a direct, twisted parody of the name of the archangel Michael. See, in Hebrew, Mikael literally means who is like God. It's a question that declares God's unique, unmatched sovereignty. So by asking, who is like the beast, the world is taking a phrase meant to glorify God and deliberately twisting it to glorify a human empire instead. It's a blatant replacement.
And to really drive this point home, the source text points us all the way back to the Old Testament. After the parting of the Red Sea, the Israelites sing this praise.
Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? That's the original. The world in Revelation is just singing a cheap imitation, a twisted cover song to a temporary earthly power.
So, let's zoom out and put all these pieces together, shall we? The beast's wound was the spiritual challenge that Christianity posed to Rome. Its healing was Rome's shocking comeback that left the whole world in awe. And the worship that the world gives the beast? It's just a dark, twisted copy of the devotion that belongs only to God. It's really a timeless picture of the ultimate clash, the power of human empires versus the authority of God.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. This ancient vision, it isn't just about Rome. It's asking us to look around our own world today and ask, how often is our fascination, our worship of human power, whether it's in politics or technology or culture, how often is it just a distorted echo of a much deeper spiritual search?